let's begin this conversation. First, taking our quote from John C. Maxwell, who once said, "A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." Absolutely spot on. My next quote is from Warren Bernis, who once said, "Leadership is the capacity to translate a vision into reality." Most of course. All right, my next quote is from Chan Master Fushan Yuan. He once said, "There are 3 essentials to leadership: humility, clarity, and courage." Okay, my next one will be from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who once said, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." I like that one. So my last quote will be from John Peter Zenga, who once said, "Great leaders are not defined by the absence of weakness, but rather by the presence of clear strength." Don't you just love this quote? Let's see how this quote relates to what we'll be discussing tonight. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Ojin. Like you see this smile from chin to chin. It's just me saying that there's a new CEO in town. Just like they say there's a new sheriff in town, there's a new CEO in KAFTAN television. And of course, KAFTAN Television recently announced the appointment of Mr. Abdulwaheed Odusile as its new Chief Executive Officer with effect from 11th March 2024. The appointment was announced in Abuja by the company's Human Resource Manager, Janet Akinwale. The Board of Directors gives the new CEO full autonomy to set up a new management team and reorganize the company in a way that satisfies its professional needs. Before his recent appointment, Odusile served as the Commissioner for Information and Strategy from 2020 to 2023. He parades over 40 years of national and international experience as a media manager. He was the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, that's NUJ, from 2015 to 2018. Odusile, a renowned journalist and accomplished manager, was the president of the Federation of African Journalists, FAG, from 2016 to 2019. He also served as the editor of National Life newspaper and managing editor, The Nation newspaper, amongst others. Odusile, being an outstanding journalist, media executive, and good resource manager, will in no doubt assist in taking KAFTAN Television to its place of pride and in the Nigerian media space. And that is why you see me laughing from chin to chin, because I am super excited to have the new manager, the new sheriff in town. That's the new sheriff in KAFTAN Television. All right, that's me just joking. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring in our new CEO and have this conversation with him. So whatever you're doing, it's already 8 o'clock, so you don't need to take too much things into your stomach. Just go get your water, or you get your freshly made juice, or just sit with a cup of coffee and drag a chair, because we're going to have a very excellent conversation tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Conversation, and I am going to be your host. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation, reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now, let's go straight to our conversation for today. And I told you that my guest is Abdulwaheed Odusile, who is KAFTAN's new CEO. Great to have you on the show today, sir.
Nice to be here.
Hearty congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Great. Okay, so before we start talking about KAFTAN TV, let's just talk about general matters, then we'll come back to the specific. Now, let's talk about press freedom in Nigeria first. Now, looking back at in the days when you were still with Concord, the press freedom you had back in the days and now, how much would you actually compare if you're given from on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest? How far so far have we gone with regards to press freedom?
You see, press freedom in Nigeria is not something you can measure on a scale like that, because we've always been free. But depending on the occasion, Nigerian journalists always like to test the waters.
Oh.
Yeah, you push the boundaries of press freedom.
Okay.
To see, to what extent is the government of the day ready to accommodate the freedom that we enjoy? You know, under the military, we push it to such a level that we think, no, this is the tolerable level that these guys in the uniform will allow us to operate as a free press.
So you think the onus lies on the journalists themselves?
Of what use is the freedom that you don't even test to know whether it's actually there or not? Okay, let me give you an example. We've been told that the Official Secret Act has been abrogated in Nigeria, which was a colonial inheritance. We entered it from the British introduced it into our laws in Nigeria, and there's always been like that. Each time that law was there, nobody bring it out. But you do anything that government of the day consider to be a breach of that act, they say, oh, you know, there's this Official Secret Act that says you not publish something that is a secret. And I'm sure that what was used, if I could recall vividly, what was used to punish Nduka Arabo and Tunde Thompson during Babangida, I think during the Buhari Diagbon era. And what did they do? Just because they published a list of ambassadors designates, and one name was mixed. The government wanted to know, how did you even get this list in the first instance? So, and it was a correct list. The names were actually correct. Now, government, because how did you get it? Of course, we won't disclose. The government now wanted to say, okay. They now deliberately, that was what we learned later, deliberately changed one name. So now look as if, you see now, you have given out the wrong information. That was why Tunde Thompson and Nduka Arabo were punished by the then government under the Official Secret Act, which was incorporated under Decree 2. Because we had the Decree 2 then. Decree 2, Decree 4. Decree 4 was used against the media. And under that Official Secret Act thing was actually incorporated there. And I say, if you publish this thing, you get punished. Now we've been told that the Official Secret Act has been abrogated through law reforms. Now, how will you know that law is not there if you don't test it? That's why I say Nigerian journalists, we always test the waters, okay, to know the limits of how far we can go to actually exercise that freedom. But on paper, I tell you, Nigeria press is free. Indeed, we are. Because there are certain things that, especially in Africa, that are not allowed or permissible in some other countries that we take for granted there. There are some African countries where you dare not say a bad word about their leader. But in Nigeria, we call our president's name. We lambast our governors, our leaders, and they just laugh. You know, there was this story when Obasanjo was a head of state, a military ruler then. That was between 76 and 79. One African leader visited Lagos, and was complaining to Obasanjo what the press were doing to him in his country. Of course, these are the things, it was one of the things we were told about Obasanjo government then. The Obasanjo said, just hold on. And he called for one of the dailies of that time. And he showed him a cartoon where I think it was drawn with a protruding belly. You know the way they put it, so Obasanjo told him, see, it's me that they are referring to here. So what do you do? So to that extent, you can say the Nigerian press was free. So it depends on, to now look at to what extent, it depends on the operators, I mean, talking about journalists themselves, and the government of the day. Even in this civil dispensation that we've been having since 1999, there are certain things that the government will frown at. Oh, why can't you do this? Then we go to court to go and test it. And the court says, this is no good area for you. Or government, no. Don't overstep your bound. These people are covered under the law to do this. So they are incomparable. I want to say that to the extent that we actually exercise the freedom that we have as members of the Nigerian press, then we cannot say whether we're actually free or not.
Okay, so there's some things that you said, but I would actually talk about later. Then I had the interview we had earlier today on the press. The guest actually reminded us of how we are now free to sit and talk about the government and then lambast the government, tell them what they're doing is wrong. But it used to be, according to him, he said, there used to be some time ago, before now, where you have this kind of conversations, and before you leave the office or the studio, DSS is waiting for you. And if you remember what happened, I think it was towards the end of last administration, where a student talked about the first lady, and then he was picked up. So if you have to look at it from that perspective, are we really free?
No, we are. That's what I'm saying. So you need to test the law.
So is that testing the law?
Yeah.
For you?
Now, of course. Now, okay, they were arrested. What did the court say? Because now, in the past, the Nigerian law says you must be charged to court. I think, is it within 48 or 24 hours if you're arrested? Because we kept on hammering on that in the media, and we kept on testing the waters. Now, when someone is arrested, even whether to go and procure whatever, the security will quickly go to magistrate court or to high court to now get an order to extend, to keep the person beyond 24 hours. So even if you are a journalist, you are arrested like that. If they fail to procure that court order to allow them to keep you in detention beyond 24 hours, then we go to court and test it and tell the judge that this man has been in court for so long, no charge, nothing. And because the law says you can't hold anybody beyond 24 hours, now the judge will naturally expect that the judge will rule against it. That no, you can't keep so person, charge him to court or release him.
Okay.
So the same thing, if it happens to journalists, we'll go and test it that way. And because the courts have been ruling against such acts by the security agencies, now they have devised a means. Even before they arrest you, they go and get a warrant to keep you or order to keep you in detention beyond 24 hours. At least we have forced them to comply with the law. So that's one of the duties or one of the roles of the media in society is that, to keep the government on its toes to do what is right. Whether they procure the judgment illegally or whatever is another thing. But we have actually forced them to do what the law says they should do. So like I said, we can't measure the freedom of the press until you test what is in the law to know whether you're actually free or not. I don't expect anybody now to now wake up and say, because I say something bad about any of our leaders, go and pick him up. They will find an offense. Not that I say is this, is that. No. They will look for an offense and hide under that. And if that is in the law, what do you do? If you don't like it, go and challenge it in court.
All right, now let's talk about ethics. Who defines ethics in the field of journalism? Let's say, for instance, I'll give you an example. When you go to NCC, actually defines call or data rates for telcos. So for individual media houses, who defines the ethics, and is it binding on each media house?
The Union of Journalists, NUJ, we have a code of ethics, which is universal, in line with what you get elsewhere in the world, in the normal world, what you get.
Best practices.
The same thing, we have this Nigerian Press Organization, NPO, that brings together NUJ, Union of Journalists. That is the only body of that's some registers, journalists in Nigeria. It's the only body of professional journalists that we have, NUJ. Then we have Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, NPAN, that's owners of newspapers and
print
then
medias.
We have Nigerian Guild of Editors. The three of them constitute the Nigerian Press Organization. Until recently, we used to have the bond, Broadcasting Association of Nigeria as part of them. But broadcasters, they are now group themselves together. But all these four bodies work together to draw up a code of conduct for journalists in Nigeria. But the negative part of it is that it is not justiciable, it's not enforceable. Because, one, I remember during the time of a certain president of NUJ, we drew up a law, took it to National Assembly, to actually codify this code of ethics and other things that affect journalists, including payment of workers, prompt payment of salaries to journalists. Of course, that law was struck down by the National Assembly, and upon investigation, we were told that actually some senior members of the media influenced that bill not being passed by the National Assembly. You know why? One, say you cannot dictate to them how to run their business. Because in that law, we said you must have spent X number of years in the newsroom, for instance, before you can become an editor. I think we said 10 years. So the belief is that if a journalist has spent 10 years in the newsroom, you'll have gone through the entire gamut of newspapering or journalism in that organization. You know what that organization stands for. You understand the organization. You understand journalism and its responsibility. Because you see, what some journalists don't even know is they don't know their responsibility to the society. You just think you can write because you know you can speak English or you can write good prose, neglecting the impact, the effect of what you are saying or what you are writing on society. Forgetting the fact that it's part of your responsibility to keep the society cohesive and unified. So now, we believe if you have spent that number of years in the newsroom and you are now appointed an editor, you know the enormity of responsibility on your shoulders. Because one line in your newspaper can bring down a country, can bring down a society. But now if you now suddenly say somebody who has 2, 3, 4 years experience because he's a good writer, can write prose, can speak Queen's English, he now become the editor. So when we stated all those things, the owner said, these people, they want to be dictating to us how we run our business. They went behind us, because I was part of that NUJ team that time, leadership. They went behind us to get the National Assembly to throw away that provision, that bill that was sent to them. So that bill also contains our justiciability of the code of conduct, the code of practice that we have drawn up by the entire media for journalists in Nigeria. So now there's no law that can compel you to enforce if a journalist was in breach of any of those of any provision of the code of conduct or code of practice. I think in broadcast they have something which I don't even think up to now is justiciable. We can't enforce it, but it's like a moral code.
Okay.
If you don't do it, this is what we can do to you. But if you can call the bluff, nothing happens to you. The Nigeria Press Council ordinarily supposed to do that for the print, but the law setting up the Nigerian Press Council has been in contention between Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria and government. They co-opted NUJ into it. To me, NUJ has no business in following what those guys are doing. We should be interested in this code of ethics. Now, and the question is this. I, as an individual, I've always said this. The problem they are having with that press council decree or code is that they say government is the one funding the press council, and therefore they cannot regulate the media. I said, fine. Government should have no business being a regulator for the press. But members of the owners of the media in Nigeria, are they ready to do it? If the government should not fund, hey, bring your own money, fund it, and appoint the people there. That is what has been the has been the bone of contention all this while. But the NPO has moved a bit to say, let us set up our own, something like that. I think these of us have an ombudsman they have set up now. How they are going to work and now regulate and punish infractions by any journalist. I'm still waiting for that. Because if you don't punish these things, you keep on recurring of what is the code that's not enforceable.
Mm. All right, so taking a cue from where you just landed and what you just said, what then is, as a journalist, probably as an upcoming journalist or a prospective journalist, what then is the importance for that person to join the NUJ then?
That's a good one. NUJ, by Nigerian law, is only body of for registered journalists in Nigeria. We are the only one that is empowered by law to register journalists. And it's only trained, in Nigeria, they have been toying with it all these years to have another body for processing journalists in Nigeria. Some have argued that you can't be a professional body and be a trade union at the same time. Because NUJ has that dual purpose responsibility to the media, to the journalists, to uphold professionalism and fight for their welfare.
Okay.
Because the job of a union is to fight for the welfare of its members.
Mm.
Can you combine both? We have tried it. I must confess, we have not succeeded in any of them. We have not actually fought enough to ensure that journalists in Nigeria are adequately compensated for what they do. We have not done enough to ensure that our members uphold professional ethics to the limit. So you can't be both and you won't be able to do both of them very well. But the question you ask, is there any other bodies who join apart from NUJ? No. That means NUJ need to sit up. I'm not saying, oh, they are not doing well, whatever. I will say we, because I had once led NUJ. We can still do it better. Every administration of NUJ, every NUJ president, every administration try to take it higher a bit, to the extent that it can. But from the prevailing problems in the country, we can't take it to the level we thought or we ought to have taken it, or we wish we could have taken it because of prevailing circumstances. We're talking about so journalists not being paid as and when due, or not even being paid living wages. So by the time you say you want to fight to get them enough pay, the employers will give you 1,000,001 reasons why they cannot go beyond this level. And because you also know the way the industry operates in this country, what do? You know when to fight, you know when to retreat. But over the years, I would say the NUJ has done well for its members. There is still room for improvement. But that is the only body that you can join as a professional journalist in Nigeria. That's what the law says. And you cannot register any other association or union of journalists in Nigeria without the concurrence of NUJ. NUJ has to agree. Okay, you can allow them to settle. Look at even ASU. They have set up another association for lecturers and academic staff in university. ASU is fighting. Because the Nigerian labor law actually doesn't provide for dual or multiple unions in the same sector. So, but the government, I don't know why government should even be interested in all those things. How and when, how workers unionize and when. Government shouldn't be interested. Saying, okay, but we will tell you, you see, under democracy, there's freedom of association, this and that. But if you have too many of them, none of them will be effective. Today, can you compare NLC of today to the NLC of the 70s under Azan Sumonu as NLC president? No. When the NLC that we grew up to know was a very strong NLC with a strong voice that can fight for workers. But over the years, successive administration have found a way of decimating the powers of the labor force in Nigeria.
Okay.
So the same thing is not just, and NLC is just a body of trade unions. NLC is not there if trade unions are not there. The unions form the NLC. So, and that's why each leader of NLC always comes from an affiliate body, an affiliate union. NLC itself is not a union, it's a body of unions, labor unions. So, the same thing, talking about NUJ, of course, we are part of the labor in Nigeria, But we also need media houses from each media house as a branch of NUJ. So they make up NUJ. So if the media houses fail to be part of NUJ, there can't be NUJ.
Okay, so we actually due for a break, but before we go on that break, I hear you say compare in the time of the former NLC in 70s and now that there's a huge gap there. So now let's bring it to you when you that self-appraisal. Go back to the days when you were the president of NUJ. How would you appraise yourself? How well did you do? Because now I hear you also talk about how most presidents that came and they've been trying to make it better. So how well would you actually appraise yourself that you did in that regard? Because now why I'll ask this question is with regards to insurance for journalists. Most people will tell you that part is a no-go area. You can't even talk about it. You see the Christina Mompo, and they go the whole 9 yards because they are well insured. But the Nigerian journalists will tell you, please, I cannot come and kill myself. Let me just do what I can do and leave. So how well would you say that at least I was able to dot the I's and cross the T's when I was there?
Well, I think that would be unfair to me to actually assess myself. I will leave that to those who took over after me or those who had been there before to actually know whether it was my time was good or not. But I will give you one example. You mentioned the insurance. You know, ask yourself, how many Nigerians even do insurance for themselves? You know, there is this, when NUJ was very, very strong, we used to have collective agreements reached with media houses, which was enforceable. Under that, the agreement of the past, we used to have group accident insurance.
Okay.
Under which all these hazards, if a journalist suddenly maybe drop dead or has this problem or not, under that group accident insurance, whatever, that media houses sign with us and enter into agreement, those journalists are covered. But we got that was not even enough. I remember in Lagos, I was vice chairman in Lagos. We used to have this insurance scheme introduced by the late chairman of Lagos, MJ Ladilawa, who later became MJ president, where it was a contributory stuff. But it's not that MJ will put in his own, our members will not put on our counterpart funding to the insurance scheme. So MJ was putting, members were not interested to put their own. The problem with our Nigeria, which is not peculiar to journalists, is that we like free things in this country. We don't always want to make our own contribution to make things better. It's the same thing when people talk about this pension scheme, the contributory pension scheme. Even when the law says so, it's either the employers are not putting their own there, or the workers. In any case, when salaries are not being paid regularly, how will you put in your own into the pension scheme? So the same thing with insurance. I told you about that bill that was rejected. It's not even get to any reading at all. That was frustrated the National Assembly as provision for insurance for our members. And the insurance there is participatory. Your employers will put something there, you also put something there. Such that if anything happens to you tomorrow, even up to death insurance was part of it, but it never saw the light of the day. So that has been the problem of most administrations in the recent past in NUJ. We were faced with the problem of dwindling revenue. The checkup dues were not being paid as I went due, and that is the live wire. That is the blood on which unions operate. If the checkup dues from your members are not coming in as I went due, or when the number of journalists, there was a time that we have on our books over 30,000 registered journalists. How many journalists do we have registered today now?
No.
Now, when they even ask them to pay their professional fee, how many of them are paying? The law says you should check up this. You come from the source. That is, your employers will deduct from your salary as check up dues. Where is the salary?
Almost employers don't even remit.
That's if they pay at all, some of them will not remit. And you go to, and I remember during my time, I was secretary of Concord Chapel of NUJ. Every month, 3 checks are drawn in the name of NUJ by Concord. It's not, it was a class for Concord alone. No. 3 checks are always drawn. 1 for National NUJ, 1 for the State Council of NUJ, 1 for the chapel. The treasurer of my chapel then will go to the accounts department and pick up the check for the Concord Chapel. Go and pay it to our account.
All right.
The Lagos State Council, their financial secretary, was going around each of those chapels to pick up the check for Lagos State Council of NUJ. National, NUJ National, because it was in Lagos then, they had their treasurer who always going around media houses. In states, we send those checks directly or pay to the account of NUJ from each of the states. But where are those things being done now? Where employers are not paid. So, in a nutshell, like I said, it would be unfair to me to say judge myself, but I want to believe that we did try our best. For instance, when we were there, we were on the verge of setting up a TV station of our own.
For NUJ?
Yes. We actually got provisional approval by NBC to start our own television station. And the idea behind it was that we felt that if we are talking about, now we are talking about professionalism, you said about professionalism, about ethics. If we have our own station, we can control our people, we can employ our people, and we can, with them, we can, both as union and as an employer, we can enforce the ethics on our members. We must abide by this ethics. And we also wanted to use the station to teach other employers how to run a professional organization profitably.
But did you think that it was going to be sustained, even if you left?
Why not? No, since I left it, of course, they didn't take the next step.
So the vision died?
Died.
All right.
We're talking about, now they tell you I should assess, but I didn't want to do it before. Secondly, we have our IIJ, the National Institute of Journalism, which we wanted to make it a monotechnic. We actually applied to the Nigerian National Board for Technical Education, NBTE, to give us that status as a monotechnic, by which we'll be able to award OND, Ordinary National Diploma, recognized by government. What we do, I don't know whether IIJ is still there now, what they do is to give is to award ordinary diploma. So not ordinary national diploma. Because ordinary,
I think they also do PG deals there.
Those ones are not recognized by government. So you see, they're just recognized by the industry. That was why most of our graduates cannot pursue further postgraduate studies in other institutions. And when we applied to MBT for this accreditation, we were on the verge of being accredited. For your accreditation, we have to have a minimum number of academic staff, faculty members that represented. Certain facilities have to be provided. We were on the verge of doing that before we left office.
And then that vision too died.
Well, I have not seen anything. I don't know. But at least I haven't seen anybody say anything about both the IIJ and the CV thing that we are talking about. Because if you had done that, NUJ would have taken to a step higher now.
All right. Clearly, there's more that we need to unbundle. We still need to talk about KAFTAN TV. It looks as if we're just scratching the surface, but then we'll definitely bring that up after this time out. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation with Abdulwaheed Odusile. I'll see you later. Glad to have you back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation, reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. You just joined us, you've actually missed out on the first part of the show, but then you can still join in the second part as we're still talking about press freedom, and we've got our new CEO. So this time we'll be talking about KAFTAN Television to the rest of the world. All right, thank you so much for staying back with us, sir. All right, now let's talk about KAFTAN Television. Now, since you joined and become the CEO of KAFTAN Television, I'm sure a lot of people, especially our viewers, will be looking forward to a new KAFTAN Television. Now, looking at the fact that we are in competition with a whole lot of big names, the market is huge. Talk about so many names. I'm not going to mention them, but at least KAFTAN first. So, what exactly? What is the vision? What is the plan? What is the leadership style that you're bringing to the table? What should the viewer be expecting in the coming days, weeks, months, and years of your reign?
Well, it's something that's I'm so excited about to be here. KAFTAN TV. Of course, at the time I was part of the KAFTAN family, with the KAFTAN Post as the newspaper arm. And I've always had my eye, even on television then, when I was in KAFTAN Post, because when I started journalism, I started in television in Ibadan. That's then television service of your state. So television has always been it for me. I always keep an eye on it. That maybe one day I will come back, and now I'm back here. Of course, there are exciting times ahead for us in KAFTAN TV, and the viewers should expect more exciting things. First, like you know, we are a news organization. We will redouble our efforts in giving them news around the world, news, authentic, factual news that we want to turn KAFTAN TV to be the reference point in news. So that when people say, "Oh, I heard this news," they say, "Did you hear it on KAFTAN TV?" You say, "Yes," then it must be true. That is where we are headed. And we'll get there very soon, I can assure you. You see, I've been a news person all my life, close to 4 decades in the news business. And I know the importance of factual news. I was an editor. I know the importance of factual news. I was the president of NUJ. I know the importance of factual news. News that people can swear with. That if it came or it was coming from KAFTAN TV, then we better believe it. It's the gospel truth. That is, it's as simple as that. That's what we want to achieve. Of course, we have to garnish that with other news and current affairs program that will further enrich our viewers such that they will want to remain glued to their television sets Even if they are watching on the tablets or on the Android or any other phones that can give them that kind of facility, they rather tune in to KAFTAN TV on their phones, on their tablets, than any other station. That is, in a nutshell, is what we are aiming at, and we believe with hard work and dedication by all members of staff. And in Nigeria, we always seek God help for everything. With the help of God, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Great. So I hear you talk about other gadgets that people actually can watch KAFTAN television aside their TV, like their phones, their laptop, or their iPads and all. So now let's take it to the new media, social media. What is the plan to bring these people, especially those on YouTube? What is the plan that you have for our YouTube subscribers also? Social media.
No, it's not just YouTube alone. The entire gamut of social media. Of course, we have a dedicated team here at KAFTAN TV, which you know about, that disseminates information on the go. We have information tailored to the needs of our audience. And in this case, the captive audience that social media has actually captured. They are the youthful people, the young ones. We have actually tailored our presentation, our content to appeal to them. So that on whatever platform you want to use, if it's YouTube, IG, X, and what have you, there are so many of them that you want to use to get your information. You'll see KAFTAN TV there. We are not at the level we want to get to yet, but we are getting closer. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. Like I said earlier, so that people will say, let me go and verify if this thing is true, and you come to KAFTAN TV and say, yes, I've heard it on KAFTAN TV. It's not just on this Androids and tablets and what have you alone. We are upgrading our website.
Okay.
So that people could also come to our website. When you come to our website, if it's the text that you want, you get it there. If it's the audio and video, at the sight and sound, you get it there. So it's a multimedia stuff that we are building, so that you don't miss out on anything once you are with us on KAFTAN TV. If you're at home watching television, you get us there. If you're on the go, with your phone, you get us there. If you're in the office on your laptop, desktop, whatever, you get us there. That means everywhere you go, everywhere you turn, you see KAFTAN TV. That is where we want to take KAFTAN TV next now. Everywhere you go is KAFTAN TV.
All right. Now, because you talked about factual balancing the news, we already know that the journalists, we are the fourth estate of the realm. So we're at some point, we're supposed to be involved in investigative journalism, where the government is not doing well. You go straight and then tell them that they're not doing well, and you're not there to lick butts, but tell them the truth, exactly how it is, and then you still balance it, and then come back in the part of development journalism, where you now tell, okay, they are doing well this time. At least you look at the Ministry of Interior and you tell him to his face that, okay, what he's doing is good, even though in some places they will tell you that what is he doing that is different from what you have outside. But then we don't have this thing happening before now, but now that you have him, at least he's doing well, so let's praise him. So talking about that balance, what exactly and how exactly do you plan to make sure that KAFTAN TV is always balanced in that aspect? Because most people will tell you, most media houses, they always is either they are tuned to one editorial policy, or they are tuned to one political policy, or friends and all. But for KAFTAN TV, we are independent journalists, and then we are also development journalists.
You see, no, there are some media houses that doesn't have its own editorial policy. Ours is to tell the truth the way it is. But there are different sides to the truth. We need to balance and present all the sides without having our own opinion on them, without injecting our opinion, without bias. It's a different thing to say this is the truth. If you are now judging whether it's good or bad, that's your opinion. But present the facts, present the truth first. Let your viewers know, judge. Let them be the judge to say, oh, this guy is doing guy. For instance, you mentioned the interior thing. Now, if you present what the guy has done and present what used to be in the past, you have actually told your viewers to judge without telling them this man is better, this one is better, this one is not. So by the time you go into judgmental journalism, it becomes something else. Because every judgment you always give is subjective. It's based on your experience, what you know, what you have seen. That's why, even in the courts, when a judge knows something as a fact, but if it was not canvassed before him, he cannot base his judgment based on what he knows or he knows about a particular thing. It has to be facts presented before him. So the same thing in journalism. We work with the facts that you have. Present them, allow your viewers to draw their conclusion. So that means you must remain unbiased. For KAFTAN Television, that is who we are. When we have to give kudos, we do that. When we have to give knocks, we do that. But whether giving kudos or giving knocks, they must be based on facts. If you are saying all this government has done is bad, there must be facts to back it up, not one-sided facts. So you can always bring a fact to support whatever position you have by ignoring what I call counterfacts. But bring everything to the table. Like I said, the example you gave, if you say, what is it? What is the difference there? This is the difference. It wasn't like it was like this before. Now it's like this. Then people say, oh, okay, it's like that. And developmental journalism, I put it as looking at the cup as half filled and not half empty.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We are talking about the same cup, the same content in the same cup. What I'm saying is that, this cup is half full, optimistic, half empty, pessimistic. But for how long shall we live with pessimism? Hope itself is a good thing. Hope is enduring. Hope could elongate life. Hope could give you sense of it will be better. And indeed, psychology will tell you whatever you have in your brain at times is what you get. So if you now say, if you keep on seeing the cup as half empty, it leads to demoralization.
Okay.
So that's why I say to journalists, whatever we have to do, which also include my colleagues in KAFTAN TV, be on the optimistic side, on the sunny side of life. Even when something is bad, as you are criticizing that this thing is bad, let us know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, so that it is not 100% hopeless.
All right, let's anchor this ship and let's begin to round up. If you look at, I was reading something about businesses, and then I read about, there's so many of them. You have the red ocean strategy, the blue ocean strategy, the black ocean, the white ocean, the pink, quite a number of them. But let's stay on the red ocean strategy, which talks about compete. Let's just compete regardless. It could be unhealthy, it could be healthy competition. So now you have the red, and then okay, let me look at the blue ocean strategy that says yes, there are a lot of players in the field. There's the TV, there's the print, the electronic, the social media, and all of that. But I need to carve a niche for myself. So now, what style would you be bringing to the table? Are you looking at the red ocean strategy because we are plenty there, so let's struggle it and get to the top, or just carve a niche for ourselves and let anyone that wants to remember media houses, the first they remember is KAFTAN Television?
I've told you, factual presentation of news. Because we are a news station. Once people know that you will always get the facts from KAFTAN TV, they will remember you. We don't want to just do it because others are doing it this way. No. We want to carve that niche where you can get the truth. Go to KAFTAN TV. That's enough. Every other thing will follow. When people know that you will get the truth from them, even advertisers will follow you because they know that's what people watch. People watch that station because they believe in the content they bring out. But if you say, oh, let's just do it because let's just compete. Like we said, can compete even in bad things. Although competition itself is good because it brings out the best in everybody. But then competition at times could also be killing. Because if you don't have the same resources, you can't compete very well. The bigger players will always play you out of the team or play you out of the field.
Okay, so sorry, I had to butt in there because you talked about the bigger players. So what if the bigger players, they are already on factual news? How do you then carve your own niche to then stay above them?
You need to match yourself against the best. Then the next step will be to go above the best. There is room. If there's no room for that in present dispensation, I will not tell you that is where we are going. So there's still room at that level. In the last few years, we've seen some of our colleagues among the big players taking sides that people have been complaining. We do not want to take side in KAFTAN TV. And once people know you for that, they will always come to you for the facts, because they say you won't take side. If that space is not there, I won't be saying we want to go there. It's not as if we're going to create this space. The space is already there. If they are doing it very well, I will not tell you that's where we are going to. I can see the space, and I'm sure if you look at it yourself critically, you see that space is there, that needed filling. We are going to fill that space where we report with unbiased minds, and the people people will believe in us that these guys are not biased towards anybody or against anybody.
Right. All right. Let's draw this conclusion, this interview to a close. I'd like to get your last word to our viewers, be it those on TV.
Let me just say this before I go to that briefly. In the earlier part, I was trying to talk about the union and stuff like that. You see, each administration has some focus. So it's not for me to blame one administration or the other. Different focus. I've just given you the focus I had when I was NUJ president, and whoever was coming in is at liberty to choose its own focus. But like I said earlier, also remember, each administration had always tried to surpass or do better than what his predecessor has. Also in this vein, this is what has been happening in NUJ over the years. One administration always want to do better than the previous ones. So, which is a natural thing in life. So, well, to our viewers, I've assured them that KAFTAN TV is the breath of fresh air that they have been waiting for. KAFTAN TV is the breath of fresh air that they have been waiting for, and I'm sure with time, not too long from now, they will see it and they will applaud it, and they will be glued and addicted to KAFTAN TV. That I can assure them.
If they say anyone that just with me past is the fact that you said addicted to KAFTAN TV. Thank you so much, Abdulwaheed Odusile, CEO of KAFTAN Television. It's been a wonderful time having this talk with you.
I appreciate it.
Great.
Your time.
All right, that's where we end this conversation. I'm sure you must have been rightly educated, entertained, and informed, and you are ready to stay glued and addicted to KAFTAN Television. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful time having this conversation with our very own CEO, Abdulwaheed Odusile. I will see you next time. My name is Annabelle Oji. Remember to stay safe. When you see something, please say something to keep our world to become a safer place for all of us to live. God bless you and yours. God bless Nigeria.